Hello. I want to talk about Tesla's new Supercharger policy for Uber and Lyft drivers, as well as the new Uber policies that they even stated for Uber. Tesla's purchase after December 15th will no longer be allowed to use the Supercharger if you're using it for rideshare. One thing that stood out about that to me is I think this is the 1-year anniversary of them unveiling the idle fees at the Superchargers. I remember it because I took delivery on December 16th, and that's when I found out about it, because I wasn't really checking the news that day because I was just thinking about getting my car. And when I plugged in at my first Supercharger stop, I got the message about idle fees, and I had to be ready to go get the car in 5 minutes or so. And that was on the first day, and it was before they changed the policy and made it that you wouldn't get an idle fee if over half the stalls weren't taken. So I guess maybe Tesla likes to use mid-December for bad news while people are in the Christmas spirit. So what does this mean for Uber and Lyft drivers, and I guess also taxis too? Definitely no long trips. That's pretty much, you won't be able to do that unless it's scheduled, but for the most part, you won't be able to get any long trips done. One thing I'm curious about is exactly how they would enforce this. I think most people think it'll be like some sort of geofence, and you can't use a Supercharger over and over that's near you, and that's gonna hint to them that you're using it for rideshare or taxi or some kind of commercial use. Because this ban is for all commercial use of the Teslas. I do think it's a little ironic that at the same time they're trying to figure out and sell the idea of the mega chargers that are basically going to be strictly for commercial use, they're banning commercial use on the Supercharger network. I'm thinking maybe there's a good chance that they will just block certain Superchargers. I guess someone in my area, they would block the Baton Rouge Supercharger, and I could potentially ride share in the area until I ran out of juice. I like to imagine that if you were using your Tesla for ride sharing and you had to go on a long ride that required a Supercharger or whatever for you to make it back, I would like to think that they won't leave you stranded. What it means for people who live in areas like me that where the Supercharger is really the only public charger that is realistic, that has a realistic speed. The range of your vehicle will basically be the amount of driving you're allowed to do on ride sharing. I know all the Tesla destination chargers in this area are linked to a hotel, and you have to be a guest there to use those. And all the other public chargers like ChargePoint, they charge a little faster than a 120 volt outlet. The rules are different for vehicles on Uber and Lyft, but generally your vehicle has to be newer than 10 years old. So in 10 years, I definitely wouldn't expect to see a lot of Teslas on the on those ride-sharing platform or any ride-sharing platform other than the Tesla network, which is another question I have. How is that going to work? Because that'll be a commercial platform. So if you're at work and you allow your car to go and drive itself and be on the Tesla network and make money while you're at work or whatever you're doing, will you be allowed to use the Tesla network whenever the car finishes to, I guess, replenish your range or do whatever, since the car has been using itself for commercial use? But that's all the questions and concerns I have about that. I'm not really sure how they're going to enforce it. I would like to see them add a little leeway for Superchargers like the one I'm at right now that pretty much never has any other people at it, and it really wouldn't hurt anyone to have, I guess, ride shares or whatever at the Supercharger. Okay, so Uber's 180 days of change, part 2. First, you got to go back to the first thing. In June, they gave the drivers extra destination trips, and they almost immediately took that away. They said the drivers were using it too much, and it was increasing wait times. So they took that one back. In September, they made changes to Uber Pool. We don't have Uber Pool in my area. I guess it's not busy enough to have Uber Pool, but apparently now the drivers will make more money on each pickup. And based on the way they were explaining it, it seemed like everything they said was pretty obvious, and the drivers were just getting kind of ripped off on Uber Pool. Home sweet home, car finished charging. Yeah, the Uber Pool thing was weird. It seems like the drivers weren't getting paid for every time they picked up a passenger, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Another thing they're doing is they're calling it new rider education, and I guess it's to give the passengers a better idea of what to expect on an Uber Pool trip, like knowing that there will be other passengers and to remind them to be on time. But none of that really affected me. We don't have Uber Pool here, so I don't really know any of this from experience, and I don't know if we'll ever get Uber Pool anytime soon. October, they had the long pickup fees. Whenever you have to drive over X amount of time to pick up a passenger, they add a fee to the minimum fare. They only started to implement this in December, and apparently you don't get the fee if you are making a reasonable amount of progress toward the passenger. So if the passenger is like 5 minutes away, you can't just try to drive super slow or go the long way and go 10 and make it last 10-20 minutes so you can get the fee. I think a lot of drivers will be happy about this one. There are a lot of times when you're in a good location, well, at least a good location you think to get rides, and you just get this one random ride that's in the middle of nowhere, like 10-15 minutes away, and it kind of throws off your day. You accept a ride request, you go out there, and it's a really short ride, so you end up losing money on the trip. That's really got to burn the people using gas-powered cars. And this is why they don't tell the drivers the destination of the passengers, because a lot of people would just cancel those trips. You earn more now for cancellations. The driver will receive a standard cancellation fee or a fee for mileage, whichever is greater. So if you request a ride on Uber or Lyft and you need to cancel, you have to do it quickly. I've been to some places and I've gotten right outside the building and had a passenger call and try to get me to cancel. No sir, you have to cancel. You're the one that want to cancel. I did my part, I drove here, and you have to cancel. They basically don't want to pay the fee for wasting someone's time. You now earn more for wait times. If you arrive at the pickup location and you have to wait more than 2 minutes, you will earn a whopping 11 cents per minute, which is somehow an increase over what they were paying before. They've now incorporated tolls into the fare, which is something they should have did in the first place. It also says they won't match you with a rider that's on the other side of the toll. We don't have tolls in Louisiana, so that's not something that affects me. That would be pretty lame if you had to pay a toll to go and pick someone up and their ride was short and barely covers the cost of the toll. Live rider location. This is something that Lyft has. It doesn't work really well on Lyft. I hope it works better with Uber. But basically the passenger can drop a pinpoint and tell the driver exactly where they want to meet. But with Lyft, it seems like the thing is just flying all over the place and it doesn't stay in one spot, and you can end up chasing it around. So hopefully Uber's version is better. Another one for November is know who you're picking up. Sometimes people order rides for other people, and it could be really difficult to contact them since Uber doesn't have any of their information. If you tried to call a passenger, you would just get the person who ordered the ride, and 9 out of 10 times they don't even pick up the phone. But this is going to allow the passengers and the drivers to be able to contact each other. It'll remind the passenger that you're waiting, and they'll get extra notifications that you're waiting. Well, they give you an extra notification after a minute, but after a minute, I'm already calling. I'm not going to be waiting. They also improved the rating system. If a passenger gives you less than 5 stars, they have to give a reason why. It could be cleanliness, navigation, pickup, the route, driving, service, or other. Also, passengers won't see their updated rating until after they've rated you. So they can't retaliate and give you a low rating after being able to tell that you gave them a low rating. Riders will be reminded to rate the driver after each trip. I find that a lot of trips are not rated. I guess it's about half and half. Maybe 50% of my trips have been rated. Most people just exit out the phone and they don't think about that part. As long as they get to where they're going, I think a lot of people are just happy with that. And there are some people that will try to give low ratings just to get some free rides. I think if a driver has really good ratings and they get good reviews from other people and one person gives them like a 1-star and that person has been doing that a lot, that can get you deactivated. So that's not really a good strategy to get a free ride. You might not ever be able to use Uber or Lyft again. The problem I have with the rating system as it is now is a lot of people view 4 stars as good. So even though I get almost all 5 stars, I don't think it would be completely unreasonable for someone to ride with me and they give me 4 stars and them thinking that they had given me a good rating. Yeah, I'm still a fan of the just thumbs up, thumbs down type of rating. I think that would make a little more sense. Netflix doesn't do the star rating anymore, but I used to always rate movies that I like 4 stars, and I'd say the 5 stars for the movies I really liked. So I guess that could throw some people off, because maybe some people are stingy with their 5 stars. They don't want to give everybody a 5-star. And finally, if a rider gives you less than 5 stars for something that's out of your control, then it won't affect your overall score. Like they can't give you 2 stars because there was traffic or because there was an accident. A question I get asked a lot is, which do I prefer, Uber or Lyft? To be honest, I can't really tell the difference when I'm doing it. I just try to make sure I turn the app off on one when I accept a ride request on the other. And basically everything I've gone through on these in part 1 and part 2 are things that Lyft already had that Uber is kind of copying, or some new things that Uber is throwing in that Lyft is already in the process of copying. So it's going to be almost exactly the same for the drivers and passengers. If I had to choose one, I guess I would choose Uber. I know that's not a popular choice because people kind of hate Uber right now, but Uber has its own built-in navigation, so it's much easier to accept a ride request when you're driving somewhere. With Uber, I can accept the ride and it's already going to start navigating me, and I don't have to do anything else. With Lyft, it pops up and it's kind of a gray screen, and then you accept it, and then you have to. I would put it in the car's navigation, or I can switch it to Waze or Google Maps, but I don't trust that because I'm not sure if it has to pinpoint at the right location, because one time it tried to send me out of the city. So yeah, the navigation and the general location sensing, I think, is better on Uber, which is really important for a job where you're meeting up with people. I don't have anything bad to say about either service. I think I've only given out maybe 3 bad ratings, and the good thing about that is once you give someone a bad rating, either the driver giving the passenger a bad rating or the passenger giving the driver a bad rating, you aren't matched up with that person anymore. Makes your ride sharing a little nicer. Hello. There's Christian. He got his shots yesterday. He was not happy about that. And there they go. Another thing is, when my car pulls up and people see it, they start to apologize and they're like, "We didn't mean to order Uber Black or Uber Select," and I have to tell them it's just regular Uber. I don't just exclusively do Uber Select because there really isn't the demand to only do that. If I did do that, it would be I'd be doing a lot of sitting and waiting, and people think I'm crazy for doing regular Uber X, but I really do enjoy giving people their first ride in an electric car. I think it's fun, and the best is when you pick up people who are who are also Tesla fans, and they get their first ride in a Tesla, and that's the best. They have lots to say and lots to ask. And speaking of Uber Select, a lot of those passengers are really happy to see the car because, according to them, they're not really impressed with the type of vehicles that are allowed to use Uber Select. And it costs twice as much, but it seems like the only real standard that they have is leather seats. So yeah, that's all I have to say about ride sharing right now. I don't really have anything bad to say. For me, it's doing a lot towards helping me pay my car off extremely fast. I will easily have this car paid off in a shorter amount of time than I had that Kia Soul paid off. I hope they keep changing both Uber and Lyft, making them better, and hopefully Uber in particular, hopefully they stay out of the news and stop shooting themselves in the foot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I try to answer everyone's questions in the comments, so I try as best I can. I usually have enough time on my hands where I can get to people's questions and stuff, but I try.